Ethan Klein, are you watching this video? Ela Klein, are you watching this video as well? Because congratulations, both of you guys! Both of you guys have been nominated to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you, yes, you, H3 fan, probably also watching. Adam McIntyre hater, probably coming here to hate as well. You have been nominated to subscribe to my YouTube channel. We are getting so close to 500k. I know that you're going to be here sharing this video on Reddit and hating, so you may as well subscribe. Get notified for every video. We are getting so close to 500k. And again, hello muckers. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. To the adoring people that I love. I just want to say again that we are getting so close to 500,000. Please consider subscribing. As of right now filming, I am at 483,081 subscribers. We're getting so close. I nominate you, congratulations, and everyone in your household that has a Google account. Also, my Patreon is still 30% off using the code YouTubeMucker. You will immediately get access to me reacting to Shane Dawson's movie, me reacting to the Ruby Frankie documentary, me reacting to Trisha's Broadway show, me reacting to Escape the Night Season 1, 2, and 3. We're currently doing 4. And also Beast Games Season 1. On with the video. All right, let's go. Hi, muckers. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing very well. And for those who sat through the video that we just posted yesterday, which was going through the over 3-hour long video from Cruel World Happy Mind, the deep dive of the Ethan Klein, the end of Ethan Klein, the fall of Ethan Klein, whatever the hell it was called. We sat through it together, and I know a lot of people were sending me being like, oh my god, I never thought that we would watch that much content dedicated towards Ethan Klein anymore. But we did it, and congratulations, we made it. And the reason that I wanted to watch it was because I saw so much discourse around it, and I saw so much backlash, if I'm being honest, and I was a little bit curious as to, like, was it warranted? Was the video as bad as what the comments are insinuating? Like, is the video so inaccurate and misinformation and snark-brained as we all hear? And I am so glad I watched the video because it has just proven to me that it is another example of when Ethan Klein doesn't like when someone says something negative about him. He unleashes the hate army that he has built to basically take them down, discredit them, or fill their comments with negativity at least. And so this was the original video, right? The fall of H3, how Ethan Klein destroyed his career. And on first glance, this has an overwhelming amount of dislikes, right? And if you simply go to the comments, you will see that the comments are overridden with people being like, this is a terrible video, you deserve to get sued, I smell a lawsuit, look at this, I smell a lawsuit, this video is terrible, this video is misinformation, all of the rest. You're an awful and horrible person, all this shit. This is defamation. And I started seeing these words like defamation, lawsuit, snark, Reddit. And I was like, oh, I think I know what's going on here. I think that this is a prime example of the mob of H3, which we have seen. And I have experienced that myself where, you know, it doesn't matter what you would even say. They will say that you're a rat. They will say that you're snark brain. They will say that you live on Reddit. They will say that you deserve a lawsuit. They will say that you're committing defamation. And there's no winning against these kind of people, right? And so I watched the video, and I have to say, the video was very good, in my opinion. Now, there is a follow-up video called I Messed Up to You, Hassan, and Ethan Klein, and I see that there is a fundraiser here for medical care for Palestinian children. So I am glad that there is going to be acknowledgement, because my main issue with the video was the framing of what is happening with the genocide in Palestine, orchestrated by Israel, and the Israeli government and all the rest. I didn't like the framing of that in the video by using the words like conflict and war and stuff, because obviously we know that that is not what is happening. However, I have seen online that Cruel World Happy Mind Madison was saying that she wanted to make some statements about the video and stuff, and that's clearly what this video is. So we're going to get to this as well because we watched her video. However, I have really sat with her video, right? And this concept of when she's using Reddit and it apparently makes her unethical or makes her snark-brained or makes her unreliable or all of these other words that we have heard for so long. I just want to say, and so many of you guys agreed in the comments, that first of all, H3 and Ethan Klein trying to degrade anyone for using Reddit as a resource is bonkers, because Ethan Klein is the embodiment of a snarker to me, and the H3 Productions Reddit is one of the biggest snark pages in the world. The only difference is they snark on so many different people instead of focusing on one in particular, and Ethan Klein time and time again has been shown as taking things from this Reddit and posting it on his Instagram story or referencing it during the show. So miss me with that bullshit. It's rules for thee, not for me, for him. And also, number two, at its fundamental core, Reddit is an internet archive. And the things that Madison was referencing in her video were internet archives. And you can't be mad at the fact she's showing clips when they're things that Ethan Klein said. So anyways, I feel bad for her that people are bombing her video like this. However, I hope that she knows that it's just the H3 people that have an issue with the video. And as an outsider, I watched the video and I thought it was quite good. So let's get to this follow-up. I messed up to you, Hassan, and Ethan Klein. All right, let's do it. Let's see what she wants to say.
And I feel so deeply ashamed of myself and Israel is 100% committing a genocide, and I feel so deeply ashamed.
Right in there. Oh my God.
Of myself and disappointed that my video could have been interpreted in any other way. This is the first time that I'm going to try filming a video without doing any cuts and just speaking openly, honestly, uncensored. So hopefully YouTube doesn't take this video down and people don't mass report it. But yeah, when I first made that video, or announced that I was going to make that video, I guess it was posted on the H3 podcast subreddit. And I started receiving
typical. This is what they do.
A ton of just mass hate comments.
Of course, because this is what they do. So I wouldn't take it that seriously, as annoying as it can be.
Hate messages, almost threats not to post the video. And so
of course,
I went into making that video with the intention of essentially trying to make an unbiased video. But I could see how doing that.
But to H3... and all of the rest, unless you're not sucking their ass and also saying like Teddy Fresh is the most gorgeous clothing pieces you've ever seen. And Ethan certainly hasn't been racist online, and Ethan certainly hasn't tweeted weird things about kids, then they're not going to just love you. You know what I mean? That's why you have clowns like Rich Lux that they pander to. People who will take the bait.
Created a sort of a video that made it look like I was fence sitting, and that's not my stance at all. And I'm really disappointed that that's how it looked. I had seen Ethan do streams where he's reporting videos as terrorist promoting terrorism, and I did not want that to happen to my video after weeks of research. And
again, so crazy that Ethan is one of the few internet creators that people feel that they need to tiptoe around because his ego is so fucking out of control, and his power trips to try shut down any criticism of him is unlike any creator that we ever talk about, which would be one thing if he made content that was sunshines and rainbows, but this is one of the most negative, hateful creators on the platform who has a problem with other people like calling him out for things. It's absolutely bonkers.
And effort put into the video, and honestly, I was afraid that making certain statements would increase that possibility of the video getting taken down. I had seen sort of a lot of really harsh messages, harsh comments, and was afraid, essentially. And ultimately, that made my video look cowardly. It made it look like I was fence-sitting, like I was a centrist, and that's really embarrassing. I hope that overall my stance comes across, but I also knew that I was out of my depth in covering Palestine, and that's why I was trying to recommend podcasts and things of that nature. So anyways, I hope that also there's not random people that are watching this that have no idea what I'm talking about. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I just covered a video on H3 and Ethan Klein, and in that I talked about the Israel-Palestine genocide that's happening, except for I used the word conflict because I was so nervous that YouTube would take the video down. I was nervous about censorship. That's been a huge issue that's happened just recently over the past videos. The video that I did on Anna Paul, I heavily censored because she was an OF creator, is an OF creator, and it still got completely demonetized. Weeks and weeks of work just completely gone, essentially unmonetized. You know, I've done videos on certain creators where they've sent me 13 copyright claims over a fair use video that I've worked really hard to make fair use, and still for days,
silencing
weeks,
criticism
because of that. So because of that, I've become really, really paranoid about videos getting taken down, about censorship, about spending weeks on something, and it ending up, taken off of YouTube entirely, essentially not being able to have that video up, not even just for monetization purposes, but for the message not being seen by anyone, messages that I care a lot about, whether it's, keeping children private and offline or Palestine, just anything. And so I wanted to still share the message, still be able to. I think a lot of creators are scared to talk about it because of that very issue, because of suppression and censorship that's happening across platforms. That being said, I still think that I didn't dive into the issue as much as I needed to, and it came across very badly because of that reason, and I totally understand why. Same thing with Sudan. A genocide is happening there, and I should have used that word. So yeah, I completely understand that. Essentially, the reason why I also recommended the Throughline podcast, though I don't even know if that's a good enough source. Again, it's out of my depth in that area. Politics is not an issue that I cover very often, or at all. But the reason why I recommended those podcasts was because I almost think that this genocide happening now isn't even the extent of a lot of these issues. There's a huge historical aspect behind it, especially with Israel. I really recommended the Throughline podcast, and
I also appreciate the willingness to just kind of have a conversation and be, honest about where you're at. I said this in my last video, which was, she had said, like, I don't know much about this, which is why I don't cover it. And I basically said, like, I think that it's more appreciative whenever someone is honest about, like, not knowing the full extent of things, but wanting to have conversations rather than putting your hands up and be like, well, I know nothing, so I'm not even going to touch the subject. You know what I mean? I think being honest in general, it will always be beneficial, specifically for people to understand where you're coming from.
The podcast on settlements, just to see how since Israel's inception, they've been they started on Palestinian land. They've been continually subjugating the Palestinian people, encroaching on their land, pushing them away and away and away, and yet simultaneously claiming that they're being targeted by Muslim countries. Of course, the Palestinian people, out of desperation, are going to try to find a way to fight back. And the second that they try and fight back, they're being called terrorists. It's fucked up, and I think that's really fucked up. That's my uncensored, unbiased opinion. I wanted to make a video that I felt like the H3 community could watch and understand the issue.
The problem is, which is what she's clearly figuring out now, which is unfortunate, is we are not dealing with a rational community at all. The H3 people are not rational people. They don't want to be rational people at all, which is why at a certain stage you've got to stop pandering towards them.
That was at hand. But in my unbiased in my uncensored opinion, I think that the oppressors will push and push and push on the oppressed. And then when the oppressed try to fight back, the oppressors will point the finger and say, you are the violent ones. And that has happened time and time again throughout history. That is my opinion. And I think that Israel is a really good example of that. They have pushed and pushed and pushed on the Palestinian people. And then when the Palestinian people try to fight back, they say, whoa, look at how violent you are. When you look throughout history, they have pushed on them and encroached on their land, done illegal raids. And it makes sense why the Palestinian people would try to fight back and why Hamas came to be in the first place. I think that I was afraid to use certain phrases.
It's also the Palestinian land. At the end of the day, it is their land.
That was a little bit too intense in that video because, like I said, Ethan has reported videos and YouTube is very intense. Certain words get used and a video will get taken down completely. I used the Suicide Forest video from Logan Paul for 10 seconds once in a Jake Paul, Logan Paul deep dive that was about 3 hours long. 10 seconds of footage from that and the video got wiped entirely from YouTube. It's been rough out here and I've been afraid because of that. And that's just all honesty. I know that YouTube has come out with some statements saying that they're making it easier to cuss, but and say certain, phrases, but I've been terrified to do that because of my...
This is also very true, by the way. I just want to confirm that if you are not a person who uploads on YouTube, I can confirm that what Madison is saying is true. I've been getting demonetized a lot for subjects that I wouldn't normally be demonetized for. It's just kind of what happens on social media platforms nowadays.
My past experiences. And that's just me being entirely honest. But I would still love to know what you think I should do with that video, if I should just take out the Palestine section in general. I know that there have been a lot of theories that H3 has sent certain bots to the comments. Of course, I said that I would film this all in one take, and then this.
I don't even think H3 have sent bots into the comments. I think that the H3 community are just that loud and annoying. And that unemployed, mind you, as well. That unemployed to be able to comment themselves.
Mic ran out of batteries. This is the first time ever filming with these mics. So take two. Last time I was filming, I was talking about Ethan potentially sending bots, but I know that's kind of a ridiculous thing to talk about in this video. So let me move on from that. Let me try and pick up from what I was talking about. I do want to say in this video, I was a huge fan of Hassan. I still am a huge fan of Hassan. The reason why I spoke out about some of his controversies is because I had noticed that a lot of times people kind of put you in a camp as siding with either one creator over another.
Yes, and I can understand that completely because again, even in my reaction video, someone commented and was like, "I used to love you, but you're now just a Hassan channel." I don't give a fuck about Hassan. Oh my god, like people are so stupid that they just cannot see outside of their own world. And like, if I make a video calling Ethan out, then I'm a Hassan dick writer. No, I don't give a fuck about Hassan either. You know what I mean? It's crazy. So I understand her, trying to highlight problems with Hassan and problems with QT Cinderella to show that she's like an unbiased source. But at a certain stage, again, you've got to stop pandering towards the H3 community because they don't care about the reality of situations. They're all dumb as fuck.
And I really didn't want this video to come across as that. I didn't want it to feel like my stances were coming from another creator's perspective.
And I can understand that as well.
I think that Hassan
and if she didn't do it, people would be calling her out for it.
Deserves a ton of credit for the ways in which he's advocated for Palestine and has continually pushed the issue to the forefront of media when a ton of people were not wanting to talk about it, continually pushing the issue into the sort of background, myself included. I had not talked about it for a long time. I was scared to talk about the issue. I think a lot of creators are just scared in general because they don't talk about politics and they're not well versed on the subject. And I think Hassan deserves a lot of credit for continually speaking out about it. And I think that's very, very much something that he deserves a lot of credit for. That being said, I think that there are things that I disagree with Hassan on or I thought were questionable. And I wanted to mention that, especially so the video.
Also, fair enough. One of my criticisms of her video, there weren't that many criticisms that I had, but were that it felt unnecessary to be, focusing on things that QT Cinderella has done wrong or Hassan did wrong because it ultimately, at the end of the day, was an Ethan video. But I think that stems from the H3 community being so fucking stupid that they feel the need to be like, oh, well, you're dick writing X, Y, or Z. But like, if it was a takedown of Jake Paul, you wouldn't be talking about their enemies' controversies. It's people just fucking tiptoe walk on glass around Ethan because he's a little crybaby.
Video was unbiased as possible. The biggest thing being, I wanted it to be something that, whether you're an H3 fan, whether you empathize with Ethan, whether you're pro-Palestine, you're able to watch and understand each perspective. And that was probably way too ambitious for someone who has no idea what they're talking about when it comes to politics. And I definitely understand that. I also think that there were a few things that I glossed over because Ethan has such an expansive career online that I could have gone more in depth into. One that someone pointed out was Jimmy Lee situation where Jimmy Lee was accused of SA by employees and Ethan still brought him on to his podcast instead of really.
And isn't it fucking embarrassing that in over 3 hours that still wasn't enough to highlight all the horrible, horrendous things Ethan Klein has done?
Bringing that up, he kind of, made fun of Jimmy.
Ridiculous.
It was just, I kind of glossed over that whole thing since I brought up that incident in the middle of the frenemies situation, glossed over it to move on to frenemies. I could have gone more into that, so I totally agree on that. I think I definitely agree with all of that criticism. And I want to, do the best job possible. I think sometimes it's like I want to put out more content, be able to do that, just for the fact of like I've gotten complaints sometimes that I take too long to post a video. So I'm essentially trying to balance, doing these extensive deep dives, covering, these issues in a very thorough way, which I really try to do. I spend weeks looking into these situations, diving into everything, and Yeah. And so then, but at the same time, you know, I have a tendency to try and go into every single rabbit hole and spend, you know, 20, 30 minutes on topics. And sometimes I think no one cares about this, you know?
It's also her content. Stop trying to dictate what she should do with her content. Sorry, I'm so on her side with this.
I'm literally just going on a random tangent about Jimmy Lee and no one's going to care about it. So I need to condense this down to this video. And so to hear like people do want to hear about that, I guess I'm trying to balance that. Like, do people want to hear about it? Do people not want to hear about it? How do I find that balance, if that makes any sense? I think I do want to say to the H3 fan base, the really diehard H3 fan base, the people that, you know, closely follow the subreddit, the people that defend Ethan at all costs, I am getting growingly concerned that you mirror and remind me a lot of the people that I would cover when I did anti-MLM content or MLMs, people that are deeply involved in MLMs. You remind me a lot of them, to be honest.
I'm also so glad she's calling them out because they're psychotic. Oh my God.
Where, you know, they're not allowed to have any dissenting voices in their community. You must always defend either, you know, the MLM company or in this instance, the H3 people, you know. It's a little bit concerning, and it's become
very concerning,
toxic, I think, and very toxic for the YouTube community.
Yes,
it's okay to have varied opinions, even if you are a fan of Ethan Klein.
But this, when you just fucking have a video of someone calling out your fucking Lord and Savior, who's a YouTuber, podcaster, by the way, it's not normal. You people need help. Genuinely, it's weird. It is so weird.
And that being said, I've also received very bizarre messages outside of the H3 fan base. Like I said, from just announcing this video, I was expecting just all of the hate to be H3 fans. And because of that, I think I had a really wrong approach going into this video. But also, I got some really bizarre messages from people outside that I would have never expected to get. One of them being from Bad and Pinata. And I'm not sure if Bad and Pinata is correct in this. I try my best to showcase things in a very fair way, but this was an email that I received from Bad and Pinata after this video was posted.
Bum, bum.
Greetings. In your recent video, How Ethan Klein Destroyed His Career, you included a clip stolen from my channel to imply that I invented the idea that Ethan Klein said his children consumed feces and contracted diseases from them. That was not my intention to claim that Bad and Pinata is the sole center reason as to why Ethan Klein has been accused of, you know, neglecting his children, or for CPS being called on his children. That was not my intention for showcasing that clip. I guess I'll just provide some context here. While I do think that some people do not deserve empathy, that they've gone beyond the realms of where empathy should be extended to them, I also think that when I do my videos, I try to structure them in a way to understand the person's perspective of whoever I'm covering. So in this video, I noticed when I first started covering Ethan and I was looking into his past, his early content, all of that, I sensed a lot of negativity from Ethan. It was like a dark cloud was hanging over him constantly, and you know, a lot of that could probably be attributed to his mental health issues, which he had spoken about in his early content. And I guess I was just trying to understand, you know, how that escalated to the point to where Ethan is now. And
the most hateful man alive.
October 7th, and essentially Ethan having an intense cognitive dissonance. You know, him being, you know, living in Israel, upholding these, you know, Israeli values and ideals, and having to sort of face what was happening in front of his eyes, at times condemning the genocide that was taking place, condemning the Israel government, but having to sort of grapple with that and the beliefs that have been sort of ingrained in him from, you know, early days of his existence. And I think that that as well as his, you know, mental state sort of caused this escalation in Ethan Klein, this sort of paranoia where he started to believe that, you know, people were coming after him, started to sort of lean in more and more to negativity. So I was trying to showcase that, and not necessarily through my words, but through showcasing clips in videos to document that. I always felt like showing rather than telling was very important to do, because there's only so much that I can say, but actually showing what took place might help others understand. And also just for research purposes, looking into the clips. And if someone's saying...
And also, if clips weren't shown, then people will be like, proof? Where's proof?
Something, can I find a clip to back that up? It's hard to do, I think, with the H3 podcast, when there's just hours and hours of footage, and then hours and hours of footage from other people as well, responding. But I tried to find what I could in the time that I could. And so as far as this instance, I think that Ethan's paranoia clearly started to spike. He started to believe that people were working against him. Instead of unlearning the sort of programming that he had been sort of brought up within, he started to believe that others were working against him. And a huge part of that was the CPS incident, I believed. And so while I think that much of it was likely an exaggeration, in my own opinion, I could also see where Ethan started to believe that, from just gathering random clips off the internet of people saying things, spreading it online, starting to believe that there's a harassment campaign against him. And so I was trying to showcase that.
Again, in all this, you would think that Ethan Klein is like sunshine and rainbows. Not like he is the most like provoking creator of all time, starting fights and feuds and suing people and all like this. And then he's like, oh my God, people are after me. What are you doing?
And through showing this clip, essentially extending empathy to Ethan for his mental state, but trying to not have it distract from the fact that he's experiencing an intense cognitive dissonance, and he might be using this harassment campaign as a way to distract from the cognitive dissonance that he's experiencing, where he's upholding two different beliefs at once. He is still very much involved in the Israeli sort of beliefs, the Israeli propaganda, but at the same time is very much empathizing with the Palestinian people in many instances, and he's struggling with that. Sorry, I'm getting a call. He's struggling with that, and he can't quite, I think cognitive dissonance literally can destroy.
Well, unless I see that juxtaposed from him, I'm not going to extend that grace that's how he's feeling.
A person's mental state. So instead of, really tackling that head on, it was easier to go into these online dramas, these online beefs, and start to feel like people are attacking him. That's all I wanted to say with that.
Or was it a method of distraction?
Clip. Like I said, this is a 3-hour video where I'm handling many complex issues, but maybe I should have explained that a little bit more. Anyways, let me continue with this email. This can only be an intentional omission, given the research in your video. You surely know that I was quoting Ethan himself. H3 Podcast episode February 12th, 2025, titled, I Can't Handle This Anymore. Timestamp 1939. Ethan openly states that his child contracted the parasite Giardia from his dog, and states that this parasite can only be contracted through fecal ingestion. Ethan, Olive has Giardia. It's a bacterial infection in the intestines that makes you have diarrhea, and Olive has this. She came to us with it. She has diarrhea, and Sonny is crawling around. He's putting everything in his mouth. He's at that age. Now he has Giardia, and now Ela has Giardia, and now this morning I had diarrhea. Crew member asks, what can I do to get it? Ethan responds, it's extremely ridiculous to get. You have to ingest my poop. This is why CPS visited Ethan Klein. He openly announced on his stream himself that his kid had a parasite, then said he thinks they got it from ingesting feces. You also left out that the evidence reveals that Ethan sent himself skulls, attempting again to imply that it was a genuine threat. I don't want to.
It really is crazy that like a 3-hour deep dive and like there's the ability for like, well, why didn't you say this? Like, damn, how problematic is he that we need more time?
I don't think, personally speaking, as far as who sent CPS over to Ethan Klein, I think a lot of that is conjecture. I don't think it's appropriate for me to outright state any claim in my video, and that's why I tried to avoid that. To state that Ethan himself sent CPS over through his own statements versus other streamers sent CPS over through their own statements. I don't think that's appropriate for me to outright state in a video. That's my personal opinion on that. I have seen, through instances like Ruby Frankie, when people are escalating their behavior and it's getting more and more serious, you are just more likely to gather a group of people who are becoming more concerned for your family, for your children, and for yourself and your own mental state. I'm not trying to say that in a demeaning way towards Ethan Klein, but it is just the reality of the situation. When you share your life online to millions of people, people are going to look at a pattern of behavior over time. And I think it's just a natural state of being for many people, especially if you're just naturally a concerned person. Yeah, so that's my stance on it. You know, whether someone who called CPS came from Ethan himself and his own statements, someone who knew Ethan personally, or from other streamers and their own statements is, I think, really hard to track unless you were the person who received the call themselves or the person who called. As far as the skull thing, I think that there is two possibilities. Either someone sent Ethan Klein human skulls, and I don't think that's cool. I think that's going too far. You know, it is taking online drama to the next level. Or Ethan Klein himself sent himself human skulls. That is certainly a possibility. And that is certainly him not being in a great mental state and taking things way too far online. Either way, again, I don't think it's appropriate for me to gather evidence and essentially present a case unless I think it's a really, really solid case. And I did not feel that
there
was a really solid case there. It was a lot of statements. It was a lot of that were made online. And I just didn't feel like, besides the actual, there were skulls sent, I didn't feel like there was enough there to make a solid statement or opinion myself. I think those are the two possibilities, and it's kind of up to you as the viewer to draw your own conclusion. Or, yeah, I think that anyone who is going to intensely push one thing or another as far as the human skulls, ultimately, I'm scared that that also kind of detracts from the overall message, personally speaking. Again, I don't want this also to detract from my message in this video, but just because that's in this email, I'll respond to that. I have instructed my lawyers, which, let me double check that I'm pronouncing their names right. Ron Bar Nissim and Tiffany Hea to examine the possibility of legal action against you for these intentional omissions designed to defame me. I suggest you look up Tiffany in particular. She has some very interesting connections, and you really don't want to mess with her. Have a good day, Joan.
What? What?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Okay, Ron Bar Nissim and Tiffany Hea.
Not Ron Bar Nissim.
I have instructed my lawyers, which, let me double check that I'm pronouncing their names right. Ron Bar Nissim and Tiffany Hea to examine the possibility of legal action against you for these intentional omissions designed to defame me. I suggest you look up Tiffany in particular. She has some very interesting connections, and you really don't want to mess with her. Have a good day, Joan.
This shit is all so fucking lame. Lame. Oh my god. This era of YouTube we live in is horrible and annoying.
Yeah. Also, because I kind of briefly mentioned threats and everything from the H3 fan base, and I know that that legal message is probably going to lead to a lot of them saying, see, now you're getting messages from the snark community, you're not getting them from our community. What I'm specifically referencing is I got a message from someone saying that they're setting my hoodies on fire, which I don't sell hoodies anymore. I haven't promoted
these
merch in a
people
while,
are
so
losers.
I feel like I want to actually make something good, you know, not that my old stuff wasn't good. I had like designed a logo that I liked and everything, but it was through Teespring, and I heard a lot of quality issues, or thought it was just kind of like hit and miss, and so I haven't promoted it. But they're like, I bought your hoodie a while ago and I'm setting it on fire if you make this video. So it just felt like that was kind of the threatening undertone, essentially. is it a threat? Like you are going to, but it was essentially a lot of that. And
this is also
other
fucking
comments and
lame,
messages
dude.
saying that
It's also fucking lame for a video that is detailing scandals that Ethan has done. That he's done. Stop baby cradling this fucking grown man. Oh my God.
the H3 community will harass you for months if you make this video, and you're never going to live it down, essentially. I've heard from other creators that they've received kind of similar levels of hate after making content surrounding H3, and one person should not be devoid of all criticism,
especially when they're one of the most hateful people on the fucking platform.
Said slurs to the extent that Ethan has, especially if they've made, similar hateful content about other content creators. The videos I saw about Trisha, the Boston bombing video.
That's what's so crazy. He is truly one of the most hateful creators that YouTube has ever had.
So all of that, I think, is warranted of its own criticism.
Fans are such hypocrites.
So, yeah, that's all I have to say. But beyond all of that, I'm disappointed in myself for the ways in which I covered Palestine. I was essentially trying to ensure that the video would not get reported as promoting terrorism and taken down entirely, and that I could still essentially, promote helpful resources, further a message, be a voice, because I don't often see many voices. I know that some people say that certain larger creators can say certain words and their videos don't get suppressed. They are larger creators. I think that smaller creators have more challenges. At least that's what I've experienced personally with my videos getting censored and taken down. That being said, I'll try to censor my content less. I'll try to, see if I can get away with that on YouTube. It's just been scary lately, and I've been a coward because of that, and I feel disappointed. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching this video, if you've taken the time to watch it.
A lot of thoughts. Number one, I appreciate the acknowledgement of the Palestine conversation in the video. However, everything else that I want to focus on here is ridiculous to me. Getting legal threats, getting hate bombed, all like this, because you made a video that detailed the scandals, the horrible things that another creator has done. But because he is such a cultish, hate-farmed audience, this person is able to be harassed to no end. It is fucking ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. Again, if Ethan was a creator who was like, fun little vlogger, sunshines and fucking rainbows, maybe I would see more of a justification for like the audience being pissed. But then it makes so much sense considering the cesspool that his content is, and the H3 Productions being snark core and him being a little snarker as well. These people are hypocrites. I feel bad for Madison. All in all, I thought her video was good. And this is fucking ridiculous. I will see you in my next one. Let me know your thoughts down below, and goodbye.